What's up everyone, my name's Luke and today I'm stoked to show you the GT railguards and we're going to be comparing them to the XR railguards to see how the design has changed to keep up with our ever evolving board sport. So let's first start off by comparing the XR's red to the GT's red. Now on Future Motion's website, these are both called red railguards for the XR or the GT. Now looking at the red, we can see how the XR is a much brighter red, where you can see the GT is a deeper red. And I actually think it looks so good because what we can also see is the XR uses white text where the GT uses black text. So subtle differences, but it really enhances the just incredible design and sleek look of the GT. Looking at the back of the railguards, we can see yet another difference. Firstly, let's look at the XR. We can see how Future Motion has used one large adhesive strip, where on the GT we have two smaller adhesive strips. Now this is most likely due to these railguards on the GT following the contoured rail design, as the XR, if you look at the side of an XR, you have completely flat rails, where the GT, because they're trying to make it look sleeker and more of a polished product, the rails are not completely flat. So they've reflected on this by using two pieces of adhesive so that you can get both sides of the contour to get the best and most reliable stick that you can get off these rails. So let's now look at the underside of the rails. Now with the XR you had the side, a top rail and a bottom rail, so that meant there was more parts. As you can see, imagine this is the side of your board, you would have this and then you would have your second rail on the bottom. Now I didn't have a problem with this personally, but what Future Motion has done with the GT is they've made it all one piece. So we're saving having to cut extra pieces of plastic. They've molded the design all into one. So what we now have here is we have the railguard and the underside protector, which is see-through just like the XR, so you can see your serial number. But this is a great design and we're just making it a more simplistic design. So let's now look at where the cutouts are on these rails. So let's first start off by looking at the XR. You can see how you've got your two axle bolt holes and also your vent for your hypercore motor. And then also you have either your power button or charger, depending on which side of the railguard we're looking at. So let's now look at the GT's design, and once again they have evolved and simplified the design. So instead of having on the XR the two hub bolts and the hypercore motor's vent, now what we have is just simply two hub bolts, because clearly with the evolving and constantly developing motor, we can now see how it doesn't need this air vent. So going back to the rails, we can see we have two hub bolts here and your charger port, and if we were to look at the other side, all we have is one cutout for your power button and the two hub bolts. So what Future Motion are doing is they're constantly evolving the sport, simplifying the design to build a stronger and better product. With the Onewheel XR railguards, you had four pieces each side. You had two for the side of your rails and you had one for the top and one for the bottom. Now with the GT, we only have two pieces per side, and as we've already talked about, this is because the underside is molded into one piece. But because the GT, just like the Pint, has a fender delete, there's no need for that additional railguard for the top of the rail. So once again, we're saving the planet here by using less plastic. Looking at the XR railguards, we can see how the railguard stays the same width the whole way along. So it's the same width here at the hub, and also it's the same width at tip or tail. While in comparison, the GT, just once again because the design has changed, it actually broadens the further out you get. So if you start in your hub bolt and you go tip or tail, the railguard broadens as you get further to the end, which is probably to accommodate the bigger battery in the back, and then to match the width and design, they've done the same at the front for a more visually pleasing effect. Looking at the tail section of the GT railguards, we can see once again how the design has changed from the XR. Now with the XR, you see it was just red and then a small Onewheel logo to match the same size as the Onewheel badge if you didn't have any railguards. Whereas on the GT, they've gone full send and put a massive Onewheel logo here, and I think it looks absolutely epic with the red on black, looks insane. Now this is personal preference, but I think this is really cool and just goes to show how your XR is going to look completely different to a GT setup using stock railguards. Looking at the length of these two railguards comparing XR to GT, we can see how the length is almost identical. There might be a slight marginal difference, but we can see how the actual length of the board from a railguard stand is the same. Now, I really love this because for me personally, the XR is an amazing board. I love the size, I love the whole way it just feels under your feet, so I'm stoked to see that the size is very similar. A little added bonus to this video, we're going to be having a very quick look at the charger port plugs XR versus GT. Now visually looking at them, we can see how the XR port plug is much bigger than the GTs, and this is because they're now using a different charging end. Because with the XR's XLR, it was a much bigger design. Now they've gone with a more sleek and minimalistic design, just like the Pine. Now, actually looking at the end of these port plugs, we can see how there is a GT and Onewheel logo on the GT's port plug, but it's just plain on the XR. So that's just a nice added touch. So thank you for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And you can now see, and you've learned more about how the GT and the XR share similar yet so different design ideas. And what this really does is it just gets me so hyped for this board. I cannot wait to create an incredible review for you guys very soon. So if you're stoked to see that, please do like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.